Alrighty. So, I'm going to be ranking the Destiny 2 expansions, not seasons. I know the seasons are on here, but we're not doing the seasons. Also, there's Destiny 1 stuff. We're not doing that either. I'm going to be ranking the Destiny 2 expansions based off of the soundtrack, because that's not something I've seen before, and I'm a very musical person, so I think it would be fun, and it'll be nice to see how some people feel about my opinions of music. So firstly, we're gonna start with the worst of the soundtracks. This might anger a lot of people, but I don't care. It's my humble opinion. Shadowkeep has one of the worst fucking soundtracks in the entire game. I only know 2 songs off the entire soundtrack, and they're both from the raid. Alright? I don't know any other songs. There's like nothing. No songs. I can't remember like any of them. So yeah, Shadowkeep is... I would have been an F tier, but I didn't feel like it, so it's just D tier. But keep in mind, D is the worst tier here, so it still sucks ass. I mean, to be fair, Shadowkeep sucked ass too. It's one of the worst expansions. Anyways, so of course it would have a shitty soundtrack to go along with it. Why not? Then, coming up next, if I can find it. There's no way it's not on here. Oh, here they are. Up next, we have good old Curse of Osiris. That's also going in D tier. I'm noticing a trend here. But Curse of Osiris, its soundtrack, I don't remember anything about it. Mainly because, the expansion sucks ass. But that's whatever. Then you get, the next one. This one's a little bit better. What's funny though is Curse of Osiris was so bad that I didn't play Destiny 2 until Forsaken came out, but somehow I still know more songs off of the Warmind soundtrack than I do the Curse of Osiris one. That just goes to show how bad the Shadowkeep and Curse of Osiris soundtracks are. If I know an expansion soundtrack more that I didn't play than the other two. Up next, we've got good old, where is it? Good old Bass Game. The only song that I can really remember a lot is Journey, but there's still a few that like I can, if you play it, I'd be able to name it, but I just don't know all the names. But if you play any of the Curse of Osiris Shadowkeep ones, I'll tell you, I don't know. I'd probably start naming soundtracks from probably naming songs from other soundtracks. Then next, you've got good old Beyond Light in B. That's right. Beyond Light had a pretty good soundtrack. I can name most of the songs off of there. They're pretty recognizable. Yeah, it's just kind of how it is. Some of them are pretty forgetful. Some of them have really like boring ass names. Like some of them are so really boring. And then, what's gonna go in A tier? Well, obviously we got to give that to Lightfall. Now, what's funny is Lightfall, the gameplay was pretty fun. Strand was fun. It was a little annoying how it forced you to learn Strand though. But a lot of people said that the narrative really dropped off hard when it came to Lightfall after Witch Queen. I also think the music dropped off really hard between Witch Queen and Lightfall. I can name like 10 songs off of the Lightfall soundtrack, and that's a little boring. Most of them are from the raid, which is crazy to me. But I just think the Lightfall soundtrack is a little boring compared to the Witch Queens. One of them sounds like fucking Mariah Carey's "All I Want for Christmas," so that one's easy to remember. That's like the easiest one to remember because how shitty it sounds. And then the S tier of soundtracks for me personally has to be The Witch Queen. All right, I'm a huge like orchestra kind of guy. I love these big bombastic notes. The brass in The Witch Queen carries so hard. The percussion is like moi type of levels. There's so many songs on The Witch Queen that I vibe to so much. I remember listening to this like a day early before the expansion even came out, and I was like, dude, this shit sounds so good. I was blown away. It's the first time. It was like one of the first times I actually sat down and really listened to a soundtrack, and I loved it. And then I was like, hold on, let me go and start listening to the other soundtracks, and that's what inspired this tier list. So you may be wondering, oh, well, there's an expansion missing. There is. It's Forsaken. Where would I put Forsaken? Right up next to Witch Queen. Right behind. It's not. They're not even, but they're right next to each other. Forsaken's a little bit lower, but Forsaken's soundtrack, the second best soundtrack in the entire game. There's so many songs off of it. I love the Forsaken soundtrack. The Watchtower is one of my favorite songs of all time. Watchtower slaps. Alright. I love it so much. So yeah. These are the expansions. This is my expansion soundtrack tier list. For you people who were trying to say, but oh my god, Sanctified Mind, how'd you put Shadowkeep in D? One fucking song is not gonna save the entire soundtrack, dude. All the soundtracks on Shadowkeep sound like fucking strike music. You don't pay attention to it at all. Like, it's nothing interesting. It's just background elevator music the entire time. And what's funny is one of them literally plays when you go on an elevator. Oh my gosh. So Shadowkeep sucks ass on multiple occasions, on multiple fronts. Soundtrack's ass, story's ass, gameplay's ass. Everything about Shadowkeep is ass. All right. So yeah, this is my soundtrack. If you agree, let me know. If you disagree, I don't care. It's my opinion, but you know your opinion matters too. So yeah, that's all I gotta say.